Hey guys, this is Thijs from Noisia. I'm in my studio in Groningen City, and today I'm gonna walk you guys through an Ableton project of mine that I did for a studio version of a score that I wrote for a contemporary dance performance. That is a long sentence. So I took my Razer Blade home, I took it on the road, I took it into hotels, worked on headphones everywhere, and really changed it up because I'm used to working in this like a pretty awesome studio with a crazy main gear system and great speakers and everything. But I wanted to stop doing that for a minute and really change up my workflow and see what happened then. I just put everything in Ableton instead of Cubase because I didn't know Ableton that well, and I loved the clip mode. I think, yeah, you can see here that these things were sketched in clip mode, not in arrangement mode. I wrote like an hour of music. I condensed that into a 20-minute, 15-minute EP. Basically, it's my favorite sections from the score, all glued into one piece. It starts with one of the many drones that I have recorded over the last couple of years on the modular, and a vocal sample that I stole from actually an elementary school friend of mine is a jazz pianist, Gideon van Gelder, and this is like a mini, 20 milliseconds of a recording of his. And then here we've got a weird detuned synth, also from the modular, into let me just stop that. I kept it kind of off key, like out of key slightly, to kind of give it more edge. I could have tuned it better, but I like that it's out of tune. And then there's this big Blade Runner saw stack brass pads. It's very sci-fi, slightly cliche. And yeah, so this happens. And then the next section comes in. But it was really liberating to just mess with samples on this. This one's pretty interesting. There's a huge 808 in there. Without that, it sounds like this. Ableton saturator, erosion. I've used the glue compressor, makeup, and then the soft clipper a lot for a specific kind of distortion. That's really occurring a lot across my across the score that I wrote and the studio EP version. So this is without that 808. So this is a modular sample. I love how it sounds like. It sounds really bad on its own. This is the 808. There's some custom white noise clap, snare, tail, generic crash with a high speed amplitude LFO, which makes it sound like it's being kind of assaulted by a sub, but actually it's not. There's no sub in there. And then this weird ass sound. And then together they make this. What I did a lot in this EP is slow movements, so kind of slowly start distorting and glitching out one sound and just letting it loop. So here the fast hi-hats come in, etc., etc. But yeah, I love the weird overtones that pop in as I'm increasing the distortion. There's also this EQ here that starts creating a bump, and this bump really makes the distortion more tonal, and it's tuned to a specific. I'll just mute that for a second. Boring, cool. Tuned to a certain resonance, so you get this weird overtone. This is probably my favorite part of the whole score. This is a bass sound. Let me just open the MIDI here. And what I like about Ableton most of all is this clip mode, where you can just the length of the clip determines the length of the loop, not the length of the loop section. Every clip that is looping by itself. So this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you could lay a normal 4 or a 5 quarter pattern just on top of that for polyrhythmic stuff. Now in this one I ended up making everything 7/4, but yeah, so this is a modular bass sound that I put into a sampler and just messed around until I got a pattern that I liked. To me it makes a lot of sense, this pattern, even though it's in 7/4. Let me just open up. We'll see what's happening. Well, that's an intense EQ curve there. Just one zone in the sampler. Yeah, and the same glue compressor distortion, some vinyl distortion. Found myself just using the Ableton built-in plugins a lot because I'm not used to them, so they were kind of inspiring to me. Exploring, like this whole project for me was exploring stuff that was familiar but not controlled, so kind of out of my comfort zone in a way, but also within it in a way that I could still control the quality of it. But there was just things happening during the writing that I didn't intend to, and then it's easier to get enthusiastic of stuff that kind of presents itself rather than you really like slaving away to kind of fine-tune everything this way with the modular. And for me also with the Ableton, also taking it outside of the studio on headphones, working on the road, in airplanes, in hotels. It's a really new workflow that really worked for me to kind of provoke incidents and accidents rather than full control. Also, I think I never used drum machine sounds, and for this EP I just went for it. This is the distorted version, some EEPROM samples. Sup Sander, if you're watching this, big up. Nice kicks. They're not working though. And then I had to layer that with a clean kick for the low end. It was a bit dirty. But yeah, distorted drum machines. Lots of crazy tonal bell drones, and I think that's it. Like, and then it just loops. What happened there? Yeah. And then it gets out of hand with distortion. Lots of automation for that. Nice. Distorted reverb tails. Great. I broke a lot of rules for myself, like stereo bass and having stuff with all the power in the mix just in the left channel. Like, I think that happens in the intro to this one. We usually, with Noisia, like pretty much keep everything mono compatible and make it really like centered. And here I was like, I'm not going for that kind of ultra power sound. I want conflict and disbalance and stuff being kind of like messed up. So yeah, this one is panned quite far to the left. And then I'm also automating song tempo, so it's totally unmixable, which was for me kind of new. Like, most of my tracks beforehand were always just in one tempo from start to finish. In the CP there's a lot of like play with tempo. And then whether you use Cubase or Ableton, maybe for a seasoned Ableton producer, it'd be eye-opening to start using Cubase and explore all of that. But for me, this project was exploring other ways of doing the stuff that I'm used to do. I think that's it.